Okay. This next paragraph in Emerson, which is the big paragraph at the bottom of page 2, is one of the most. First of all, Emerson's one of the most famous American writers ever. Self-Reliance, the essay that we're currently reading, is one of his most famous essays, and this next paragraph is the most famous part of the most famous essay from the most famous writer. So it's a big deal. It is really the center of the whole thing. So let's take a look at what it says. So he says, "Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist." And again, there's a little bit of sexism in the word man, but he means person, even like a fully formed adult and not like a child. Although again, he likes children up above. But the point is strength. If you, I think he really means strength here. So who would be strong must be a nonconformist, right? You can't, conforming is when you act like other people. He says if you're going to be strong, you got to be a nonconformist. You can't match what other people do. You got to go your own way and not follow them. He who would gather immortal palms must not be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore if it be goodness. Right? Immortal palms are these are a palm is a kind of tree, the leaves of which were used for winners. So like if you win the Olympics, they would put like a palm crown on your head. So his point is, if you were like the best poet, they would like reward you with the palm for being a great poet. The point is it means success, right? So if you want to gather the kind of immortal forever success that you're looking for, he says, you must not be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore if it be goodness. So people will tell you right from wrong. He says, but if you're going to be a successful person, you have to think and decide for yourself if that really is right from wrong. Conformists will just do what other people tell them to do. They'll just join a group and the group will say, this is right and this is wrong. And they'll just be like, okay, I guess this is right and this is wrong. I'm going to conform to the group. He says, you must be a nonconformist. And instead of just accepting what other people tell you is good, you have to think for yourself if it really is good. Meaning, it's a lot of work, actually, what Emerson's saying, because it's in a lot of ways it's easier just to accept other people's definition of good and bad behavior. Because you could just be like, that's what Plato said, so I'm doing it. But one of the points of this class is we went through Plato and thought about, is he right, is he wrong, how much do we agree or disagree? I'm asking your opinion on these things because I'm trying to get us to do in class exactly what Emerson wants us to do here, which is to actually think about some of these opinions and decide whether they are right or wrong. Because he wants you to think for yourself. Conformists do what other people tell them to do. They don't think for themselves. They don't think at all. They just do the thing other people say. But he says, whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist, right? He who would gather immortal palms, meaning if you want to have kind of forever success, must not be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore if it be goodness. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. So some people think the Bible is sacred. But he says nothing is sacred. Only your own mind is sacred. So you don't do things just because some book, even the Bible, tells you to do something. It's your own mind that's the really sacred thing, not some books somebody else wrote hundreds of years ago. Absolve you to yourself, and you shall have the suffrage of the world. Meaning, if you sort of accept yourself, everybody in the world will vote for you. Right? Deal with yourself, and everybody will be on your side. Then he tells a story because he has a little example here. He says, I remember an answer which when quite young I was prompted to make to a valued advisor, who was wont to importune me, meaning to sort of bother him, with dear old doctrines of the church. So when he was young, he had somebody who tried to get him to convert to Christianity. On my saying, what have I to do with the sacredness of traditions if I live wholly from within? Right? So he says, so his friend is trying to get him to convert to Christianity. And he says, well, why do I care about sacredness of traditions? Because that's other people's traditions. These are rules and customs and holidays that other people made up. And he says, I don't want to do that. I'm going to live wholly from within. Meaning what's sacred is not what's in that Bible or at that church. It's in here. So his friend tried to get him to convert to Christianity. And he said, I don't think sacredness is in a church or in a book. It's in myself. And his friend was worried about him. So his friend said, my friend suggested, but these impulses may be from below, not from above, meaning the reason why you think it's okay to reject the church and reject the Bible may be coming from Satan. I replied, they do not seem to me to be such, but if I am the devil's child, then I will live from the devil. So it's a cute little story. His friend is trying to get him to convert to Christianity, meaning to think about the church and the Bible as sacred. And Emerson says, I think the only sacred thing is what's in here. And the friend says, what if that's the devil talking? And he says, I don't think it's the devil talking, but if it is, I'm doing it because it's in here and I want to follow what's in here. And he would honestly, he's not, remember that nonchalance of boys and lords, people that just like don't care and they're going to do their own thing? Emerson doesn't care if this voice inside is from the devil, because he believes, he doesn't think it's from the devil, he thinks it's from him. And he's not going to let somebody be like, ooh, this could be the devil speaking. That might make someone anxious or nervous, and they'd be like, oh boy, maybe you're right, maybe I should go to your church, maybe I should read the Bible and believe everything in the Bible and do what you guys say and conform. Because when a person says to you, when someone says, join my church, and you go, no, I'm going to go my own way, and they go, that's the devil talking. See, they're pressuring you into joining their church. When you join a church, you got to dress a certain way, you got to act a certain way, you got to believe certain things, you got to do certain things, and they're the same things that everybody's doing, right? If you're Catholic, you got to receive communion, you got to go to church every Sunday, or whatever the rules are. They bring up that devil stuff because they're trying to scare you into conforming. Remember, Emerson said that society it wants everybody to conform for security. Because if everybody thinks the same thoughts and dresses the same way and does the same stuff, then there will be security. All you have to do is give up your individuality. And Emerson says he's not going to give it up. And the friend says, well, what if this is the devil talking? He says, well, I don't think it is, but I'm choosing to make this mistake if that's what it is. I'm going to go my own way no matter what, and you're not going to scare me into doing things your way. Okay. He says, no law can be sacred to me but that of my own nature. Right? I'm not following God. I'm not following the Bible. I'm not following your church. I'm following my nature. I'm following myself. He says, good and bad are but names very readily transferable to this or that. Meaning lots of people will be like, this is good, this is bad. People just put the label. They put the good label or the bad label on all kinds of different behavior, and they switch around. Good and bad are but names very readily transferable to this or that. The only right is what is after my constitution. The only wrong is what is against it. So people will be like, so some religions will say eating pork is bad. Some religions will say eating meat is bad. Other people will say eating meat is good for you. Right? But vegetarians will say eating meat is bad, and people will say, oh, eating meat's actually really good for you, it's healthy. And people have all these different beliefs. And he says he doesn't care. He says the only right is what is after my constitution, and the only wrong is what is against it. He defines, so people usually, if you ask people to explain to you why is this right and wrong behavior, right? Why, if you say to like a Jewish or a Muslim person, why is it wrong to eat pork? They're going to say, well, in the holy book it says don't eat pigs. Emerson says he doesn't care what's in some book. He says I don't get right and wrong from reading it in a book. He says, what is right is what I know in my heart is right. And I know what's good for me. I'm going to follow that. And what is wrong is what is against me. So this is, and again, you see how amazing this would be if you were a musician and how terrible this would be if you were a serial killer, right? Because a serial killer would be like, it's your mortal rules that say hunting humans for sport is wrong, but I'm following my own way and I'm going to shoot people with a bow and arrow. See, that's bad. But then if you were like, I'm a musician and I'm doing this my own way, I'm not listening to your rules about how to make music, I'm making music however I want. See, so it's always cuts both ways. All right, I'll pick it up in the next video.